You're listening to More Than Steps, the podcast where we geek out on how belly dance works, one coffee run at a time. I'm your hostess, Nadira Jamal.
I've had sword on the brain lately. 2 of my classes requested it recently, and so I've been working with it in my practice time, and also just thinking about what makes a good sword piece. What makes it beautiful and compelling, not just impressive. And I realized that a sword piece is actually a mix of 3 different art forms. The first is circus. And this is something that I was lucky to have learned early in my time with the sword, because one of my teachers, Melina, here in Boston, is also a circus artist. And she is probably one of the best sword dancers in the country. One of the things that Melina taught me is that you need to make the easy stuff look hard and make the hard stuff look easy. That helps set the stage so the audience can be impressed by whatever you're able to pull out. Another thing is to think of the sword actions as feats, not just moves. Make sure that you really present what you've done. Give each feat some space. And as Aziza would say, be amazed. Another important aspect of the circus nature of sword dancing is that you need to get to know your sword. That does not mean that you have to have perfect mastery or that you're able to do the most difficult things, but you do need to be able to handle your sword confidently. The second art that goes into a good sword piece is theater. Because a sword is not just a prop, it's an object that has meaning. It's a weapon, or some people might consider it a ritual object. So decide what that meaning is for you, and try to maintain that meaning during your piece. Another theatrical aspect of sword dancing is the drama. A sword dance is never just pretty. That sword is dangerous, so make a big deal out of that aspect. And as you may have been advised before, make sure that you never actually touch the sharp edge or the point of your sword. You know you're not going to hurt yourself, but nobody else does. Another theatrical facet is the character or the setting of your piece. Who are you in this piece? What relationship do you have to this object? Why do you have a sword? For example, my students in the Tufts Belly Dance Club worked with me to come up with their characters and backstory for the piece that we're working on. And they've decided that they are students in an elite martial arts training school, and their sword dance is their final exam. Now, in traditional belly dance, explicit narrative is not part of the traditional aesthetics. We're never trying to communicate a story the way that we often do in, say, ballet. But even for traditionalists, a backstory that you have in your mind, even if you're not trying to express it to the audience, can add a lot of texture and richness to your piece. And obviously, if you're a fusionist and interested in narrative content, go for it. It can be really fun. And the third art that goes into sword dancing is dance. So, as focused as you may be on your sword, don't forget to dance too. A good rule of thumb is that if somebody airbrushed your video footage to take the sword out of it, the piece should still be interesting without the sword. It might be different and it might not be as good, but it should still be interesting. I like to think of prop dances as a singer's duet. Sometimes the prop is taking a solo, sometimes your body movements are taking a solo, and sometimes you're singing in harmony. All 3 of those modes are valuable, so try to incorporate them all. All you have to do is decide which of those 3 you're focusing on in any given moment, and try to include them all at some point in your piece. And most importantly, make sure that your sword dancing is consistent with your dance values. If you're a belly dance traditionalist, then you probably know that musicality, the feeling, and the connection with the audience are a big, big part of this art form. And make sure that carries through to your dancing as well when you incorporate the sword. Paying attention to any one of these 3 arts, the circus, the theater, and the dance, will all make your sword pieces better. But if you can honor all 3, that's when you become really captivating. If you want some more help with the dramatic nature of stuff, you may want to check out a few of my Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse podcast episodes. I especially recommend episode 12 with Alia Thabit, who talked about 3 things you can put in a dance besides steps, and episode 8 with Rania Renee and Anasma, who talked about theatrical techniques for belly dance. You can find these both at bellydancegeek.com/clubhouse-archives.
Thanks for listening. For more geektacular resources, visit bellydancegeek.com.